Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the second part of my interview series with Cynthia Painter. We've been thwarted again by the technology, and so you will be watching this as a video rather than a Facebook Live. If you have any questions, comments, all of that kind of stuff, make sure that you put it down below and we will make sure that we get back to you afterwards and answer any of those questions, etc. So today, last week, we had an amazing session where we chatted about CEO mindset. And today we're going to slightly flip what we're talking about. And today we're going to talk about speaking as part of your business, as something that you can be doing consistently to help you with business growth, and how you can kind of tap into that idea, what you can do and how you can make it work for you. So thank you so much, Cynthia, for being here.
Absolute pleasure. Facebook gods are not our friends today, but I'm looking forward to chatting.
Me too. I'm super looking forward to it. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about speaking and business and all of those things.
Excellent. So I think the first thing is most people think of speaking, not only do they get terrified and want to run away, as a most part, but it's not something they see as a core part of their business model. Where speaking is really, and I've coined the phrase at the moment, it's a foundation, not an aspiration. So quite often people go, oh yeah, when I've got everything else fixed, when I've got enough clients and so forth. Speaking is great at every level of the business, and there's lots of different types of speaking. So we can look at that as well.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. And that's great because it isn't just being on a big stage. There's so many aspects to our business where we're speaking to people in different mediums and different ways. So that's really important for people to know. So I guess what are the benefits of being able to bring speaking into our business?
So many benefits, but in a nutshell, it's about increasing your visibility. It's a visibility strategy, which also then increases your credibility. So people get to see you post, as I say, past the post or past the social media post, because they get a feel of your vibe in 3 dimensions. And therefore, that's going to increase your profitability, right? So people get to know you, your point of difference, even if you're selling the same product or service as somebody else, it's your vibe, how you turn up, because we click with different people. So it's such a core element in that, and it absolutely brings people into your business as VIPs or as one-to-ones or whatever your business is that you're particularly doing. It also helps you to be able to fine-tune your message and what you do. I mean, it's great public speaking skills, but it really allows you to get clear on what you do, how you do it, your tips, your strategies. And a lot of people go into business to be able to create some sort of change, particularly service-based, but product-based as well. They want to be able to create some sort of change. We don't just do this just because we decided one morning, why not run a business? There's something we want to serve, some bigger purpose. So that one-to-many model is really, really core to being able to do that and cut through the noise. And it'll give you one-to-one clients.
Yeah. So amazing. So I guess we're going to have people watch this that are really in the initial stages of business, and then we're going to have people that are further along. So is there some particular tips and tricks and ways that we can bring it in those different stages?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I want to start with, let's define speaking. Okay. So for me, it's about showing up. I help people show up in their business, and speaking is, the strategy that we use. So this is from Facebook Lives through to conference stage, right? And everything in between. So what we're doing here, for example, Facebook Lives or a video, as it ended up being today.
Yep.
Workshopping, it's networking events, it's being able to speak on stage or speak at an event, it's running your own workshops, it's training. So I just want to make sure people are clear, it's right across the spectrum. Okay, so tips about different parts of your business. I want to reiterate, it is a foundational part of your business regardless of your business size. The one thing I hear over and over and over is yeah, one day I'll do that. First of all, I have to do this. So I guess the first tip is get out and do something. Don't wait for somebody else to put you on their platform. And that's what people go. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to be able to speak or train or do workshops, but I don't want the logistics. I'll have somebody else do it. So regardless of your business size and stage of business, get out and make your own stuff first. And that can be on screen. So I talk about online and in person, okay, or on screen and on stage. So you can do your own things, workshops in your local area, Facebook Lives. We have a beautiful technology when it works, and it's a great mechanism to do it. And then I think the thing is when you're starting out, and right away through, but particularly when you're starting out, be prepared to make mistakes. Be prepared to have failures. My background is as a corporate trainer, so I've been training for a long time. Check the wrinkles. I've been speaking for a long time in business, but when I spoke in my own business, as a business, it's a marketing strategy. It's part of your sales funnel. It was totally different. Mm-hmm. And my first events that I ever did, no one showed up. And these free events, I sat, there's a great little local cafe that'll let you use the space for free that we have in our local area. And I sat there on my own. Mm-hmm. By the third one, I cried, but right? But there was great learning in that. First of all, free events suck. Okay, people have no skin in the game to turn up to a free event. We think, great, I'm going to do an event for free, but I would always look at charging for an event, even if it's $10, $20 for a 1 hour, 2 hour thing, because people are more likely to turn up with that. So get out there, make mistakes, learn from it, go from there. As you're getting more established in your business, you can be more discerning with what you're doing as your speaking events. In early stage, I would get out and try lots of things, still experiment later as you get bigger, but you can be more discerning now because you have that following. You've not just working in theory, you're working in reality. You've tried things. You know your business model. You know your niche more. Whereas at the beginning, you're still working out your niche.
Yeah, I really like that because I think it's really good to know that even for someone who's been doing that corporate training, it is different when it's your business and it's your baby and you feel much more attached to it. But everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I use the analogy of, like, if you've ever been to Sydney Airport, it's got the longest taxi in the world before you take off. And it's a long runway. So you've got to get out while your audience is small because you don't want to be testing it when you're speaking to a large audience. Your audience is never as small as it's going to be now. So do it now. Even if you do a Facebook Live and no one turns up, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's there. People can come back and see it later. You can link it into a question that's been asked on some other page. So your audience is never as small as it is now. Stop waiting for perfection. Stop waiting for everything to be right. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Stop waiting for enough clientele, enough experience. If I have everyone walk away with just one message, that one message is you are an expert in what you do and you have something of value to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forget that. We really, really forget that. I mean, you would have it yourself in your business and you go, how do people not know to do blah? And you're like, how do they not know that, right? How do they not know that they should turn up every day on their page or don't write, this in their posts? But that's what you do. And you're an expert even when you're starting out versus your clients.
Yeah, and I think that's important to know that we don't need to be 10 years ahead of the people we're teaching. We just have to be a couple of steps ahead. And actually, we're more relatable at that point because we've literally just been through it and doing it. And then we're able to share the good bits and the bad bits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you want me to answer from different stages of business, but I think a lot of what I've got to say goes across. So if I can share some of the mistakes.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Number one mistake is I'm not an expert. I have nothing to say. Okay. So we know more than our clients. Every aha our clients gets is something that we could speak about. Right? Every tip or strategy we give in a session or with our product or how to use is something we can talk about in a live, in a video, at a networking event, so forth. Right. So that's the first one. Then the next one is the freebies, as I mentioned. No free workshops. and then the next one is, and I see it over and over, is that they speak about everything in their head. Yeah, I'm going to run a workshop or I'm going to speak at this networking event, and networking events are beautiful places to speak, I have to say. We'll talk about that. But they download everything in their head to the audience.
Yeah.
And then the audience thinking, I'll just share everything, right? I'm going to talk about my topic, whether it's, I just came out of a meeting with a wonderful guy who's a music composer for business branding, amazing, or whether you're an electrician or a cleaner or a declutterer, whatever it is, they think they're going to put it all down. And what they do then is they overwhelm the audience.
Yes, absolutely.
Particularly with information.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is think about, why would you turn up to something? Right? So why would you turn up? It's not because you necessarily want to hear the 5 steps to blah. I mean, that's a great blog. Right?
Yep.
You don't want to hear the information.
Yeah.
And we're going to pay to turn up that gives us transformation. We want change that's going to help us with our problem. And presenters will get up, or when we speak in our business, and we pile on information, right, of everything that we know. So what I would say is understand everything comes back to understanding your target audience. We could have a whole conversation about target audience. We don't serve everyone. We serve our target audience. Your niche, your avatar, your ideal client. Understand them and what their problem is. Their solution as they see it, not as we know it to be. Now, just to clarify for people who might be scratching their head at that, is we can look at somebody and go, you know what, you really just need to put a strategy in place. And they're going, yeah, but I need sales now. Or I need a logo. Just give me a logo, right? Or just give me a Facebook ad. And you're like, but you need to understand blah, 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 right? So you've got to understand how your client sees the problem. I could sit there and go, well, really, you need to change your thinking and we need to work on how we rewire your brain. And they're going to go, yeah, can I just make sales? Can you just give me a sales strategy, please?
Yes, totally.
Okay. So you've got to give them that and then reveal, give them, you've got to deliver on your promise. This is what we're going to come and learn today. Your sales strategy, or how to write a workshop, or how to be able to create a cozy environment conducive environment in your workspace, whatever it is that you do. And then you reveal partway through, it's like, well, here's the strategy. We know to make that actually happen, we need A, B, and C. Right? So I've given you what I promise. Now we need this, and this is, when you work with me, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Right? So that they realize that there's more to it. And you get past the but element because you've delivered to that. Right? Yeah. So really important. I think, so that's the one, people just give them everything. I would say, I'm always saying one outcome. Whether it's a Facebook Live or you're speaking on a conference stage, what's one thing? What's one topic, one outcome, one change? Yeah. Because you do overwhelm the audience. There's a long list of no-nos, but the other mistake I see is can I talk PowerPoint for a moment? Totally. Oh my gosh. So people go, okay, I'm going to do a presentation or run a training or a workshop. And they go, great, we're going to do PowerPoint or whatever your technology version of PowerPoint, some slides. And they make that the presentation. Yep. That's not the presentation. Actually, I've done a whole live and video on this, right? PowerPoint is not your presentation. It's a visual aid. You are your best visual aid, right? So I was at a networking event recently, quite a few of them, and the slides are like, there's so many slides. They are full of words, so many words you couldn't even read them. And what happens is that because we're predominantly visual animals, we do actually read and we stop listening to the speaker. So we're trying to digest what we're seeing rather than a visual aid. So the tip for PowerPoint is minimal if you need it. It's a visual aid, so it needs to add to what you're doing. Same with flip charts and everything else. So use imagery instead of words. And if you're going to use words, big font, no more than like 4 or 5 words on there, big font, bolded. And never do blue and red together because no one can ever see that. But big words, okay? So rather than put everything on there, people use it as their scripts. It's not the presentation. You are.
Yeah.
Some of the no-nos.
Yeah. I really like that last one because we've all heard that phrase, death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And we've all been to training where we just know from like the second slide that that's what it's going to be. And the presenter just doesn't have any personality to them that we can see. Yes. And so it just becomes this boring thing. And you just drift off into la la land and daydream.
You start checking your phone underneath the desk. Like, they can't see me do that. Right. So yeah, absolutely. Just remember, it's meant to help you with that. The one thing that I hate that's so hilarious that people do, they'll present and they'll go, I know you can't see this from the back of the room. Like, why is it on there? Why is it there in the first place? So yeah, it's got to add impact. You are your best visual aid.
Yeah, I love that. That's some really great mistakes because and we've all seen them.
Yes.
We've all seen them.
Yes.
So when it comes to making speaking part of the foundation of our business, what do you think are the most important steps and where can we get started?
Yeah. So we get started by creating your own. So people are always looking to somebody else. So create your own, whether that's a workshop, whether that's even a Facebook Live. You need to get out there. You are not going to be put on somebody else's stage when they don't know who the hell you are, right? So you do actually need to create your own stuff, and that allows you also to test your message, try things out. Go run a webinar, which might be technically challenging. Run a workshop, not technically challenging, but logistically you've got to look at venues. So I think the first part is know that you need to create your own things. Then think about what that would be, because people go, yeah, but what am I going to say? What am I going to present about? So have a look at what you do in your business. I always recommend, particularly for service-based, but it works with products as well, when you've had an interaction with a client or a client session, give yourself an extra 5 minutes, like once they've left, and just capture for a moment what came out of that. There might have been a great tip or a quote, or what strategy did you share? What aha did they get? Because your clients is your content. It's just speaking it's speaking to a group of clients rather than one-on-one. So look for that, capture that, give yourself that little bit of space. The other is, I say, create your own, then go and have and visit other people's events. Networking, I am a big networker. I am an introvert, believe it or not, but I'm an extrovert on stage. Go out and meet with them, even if you are an introvert, because it's a way to be able to find venues. You get to see some of the venues. It's a way to get to know organisers of networking events. Organisers of networking events want people to turn up. They're always looking at what can I give my audience to have them keep coming back, because otherwise you're not going to run a networking event if no one turns up. So speaking at a networking event is really great. So go to networking events, get to know the venues, get to know the organizers, and get to know the audience, and work out if your audience is in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is to really understand your own stuff. So your own target audience, your own bits, because sometimes if you go to an organizer and say, hey, I'd really love to be able to speak at your event, then they're going to say, great, what are you going to speak on? And you're like, know your stuff and go, I can help serve your audience by delivering to this. I help create change, or I help create an outcome. So I keep thinking products like skincare products and things like that. You can create an outcome with. So I can create an outcome of this for your audience. So make sure, though, your audience is in the room, or your referral partners are in the room. So the people who can then refer you on to. So, for example, I got invited to speak at a networking event, but it was for commercial accountants. Now, commercial accountants per se aren't my audience, but they deal with business owners. So for me to get known to them, I become someone that they will remember and then be able to refer. So check if your audience is in the room or somebody that you can access. Because that's the biggest thing. We try to go, oh yeah, I'd love to speak on someone's stage, and then we start doing something that's not us.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, there is something that you can look at. How can you link to, particularly if you're going to a conference or an expo where you're going to speak? How can I make my message meet that audience? So, for example, there is a lady in New Zealand called Melior. She is the organic dental fairy, like the tooth fairy for dental. Her business is all about organic. And she's like, I want to speak at this conference with business women. And we're like, well, yes, you could talk about tooth care and how it's connected to other parts of your body. So her thing is about organs represent in your teeth. Okay? Yeah. But she's in a really interesting business, because if you think of the dental industry, it's actually quite regimented. It's a lot of scare tactics. So you could talk about your story, the story of getting into a business. That's the way you can speak to an audience. You're still selling that you do, the dental work and how that works, but you're not going to be put on stage to talk about dental per se.
Yes.
Known for, that's a way that you can change your message and still be true to what you do.
Yeah.
And engaging for the audience.
Yeah, and it's that idea that they have to be able to see something that they relate to. So if that's a room of business owners, they've all been through their story to build their business. And a lot of them have been through similar struggles, but just in different situations. And so we immediately connect, and that's when people want to hear from you. Yeah,
absolutely. Like there's one of my clients is a hypnotherapist for emotional eating, and she got asked to speak at a conference. But I'm like, well, there's only so much of the audience that's going to have an emotional eating reference. So she moved it to being about how you do one thing is how you do everything. That was sort of the feedback she got from the organizer, and how you can use your personal power and how things turn up from a mindset perspective. That was the linkage then, whether it's emotional eating or elsewhere. So you still want to be true to what you do, because there's no use speaking on something that's going to bring in not your audience. But how do you add value? And you've got to be prepared to say no.
Yes, because not every opportunity is going to be the right one.
Absolutely, but we get desperate, particularly in startup. I'll take thing. So having a look at, stay true to yourself, understand your audience and the value that you add, and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Really awesome tips. So many takeaways out of this conversation. I guess the few that I just want to like bring up and make sure that people are really thinking about is that there's no better time to start than now. So just get in and do it.
Yes.
You don't have to be on a big stage when you get started. Just do those smaller things and start to build like that speaking muscle.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I guess the final one is to make sure that if you are, I guess, pitching to people for speaking opportunities, that you really know who you're talking to, what the event's about, who's going to be in the room, how you can connect with them, how it can help you build your business as well, because it has to be a two-way street. And so really think into all of those ideas before you just stick your hand up for everything.
Absolutely, because you've got to see speaking as a foundation to your business model and part of your sales funnel.
Yeah.
It is a marketing strategy. Yes, we all want to go change the world, right? That's good. But at the end of the day, and this is what I have people saying like, oh yeah, okay, I want to be able to run a workshop, and I'm going to run a workshop on organic beekeeping. And I'm like, great, and what is your business? I'm a declutterer. What the hell is that going to do for your business, right? Just because it's a passion project. Okay, passion project, if you want to do that, but at the end of the day, look at how does it attach to your sales funnel? How does that link people in to build your business, whether that's being able to have people on your database or other people that will buy your product. And let's just talk for a moment about upsell, selling from the stage, okay? Mm-hmm. So, because this is something that people can get uncomfortable with, right? Now, first of all, if it's your own event, do what you like. Sweet, right?
Free reign.
Right? And I want to say that selling or upselling is particularly in speaking, is an extension of customer service. So there should always be some next step. I actually had a lady who said, oh, I'm going to run this webinar and I'm not going to sell. And I'm like, we're sitting here at the end of the webinar going, oh my God, I've given these strategies, now I don't know how to implement it. How can I work with you? So she was actually doing a disservice to the people, right? Because we're never going to give everyone every strategy, and we're not going to fix them in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, half a day, 3 days.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So where are they at the end of the point of speaking to them? What is the natural next steps that they need to be able to make it happen? Because we've all been to workshops that were great. We've got all these ideas, and then it goes and sits in the bottom drawer, and we get back into the real world and we never do anything with it. Right?
Yep.
So what are those next steps? And how can you work with them? The event I went to earlier this week, again, he did a great presentation, scared the bejeevers out of everybody. It was like cybersecurity stuff, but never had any way that people could work with him, because they're all like going, oh my God, I can't do this. I need someone to do it for me. So have something think of it as sales funnel, where they're at the end and how they work with you. If you're on somebody else's stage, then won't understand from them what's the way that they can work with you. So some organizers, whether it's like an event like we're doing, or a networking event, or a conference, or an expo, understand the rules that they have in place. Please, please, please deliver on your promise. Like, that's so important. If you'll say you're going to give them this transformation or this outcome, please do it, and don't make the entire presentation a sales spiel. And I've sat through those and they're horrid. Mm-hmm. But understand what you can do. Some events will say, we will send you the database and you can email them. Some will allow you to send around a sign-up sheet, and you can say to people, if you want to be on my newsletter, and I'll send you a copy of the slides, and that'll get you on the newsletter as well. Let them opt in that way. Others will say you can have 5 minutes at the end to sell your product. But again, it's the same thing. What is the next step in the sales funnel so that they go through? Because we're here to create real change, not just awareness.
Yes, absolutely. And that's that follow through of actually providing the transformation that you have committed to providing.
Absolutely. And we've gone there. We have, particularly an in-person event, there's a great concept said of the bra tax. The bra tax, the women in the room will get this. The bra tax is, if I've had to put my bra on to turn up, I'm invested.
I love it.
Right? So I've turned up, I'm here, I want something out of it. Rather than sit on a Facebook Live, I can do it in my jammies with my Ugg boots on and the dog on my lap, right? So if I've invested, I've had to put a bra on, get dressed, put some makeup on, then I'm invested, give me my outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they want a change that comes out of it. There's nothing worse than coming out of an event that you've had to logistically go to. To have it be a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And the organisers don't want that either, because they're not going to get people back in the room. So you're doing a disservice to so many people by doing that.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we have certainly covered a lot of really, really good stuff. I guess it really comes back to this idea that speaking can be a foundational piece of your sales funnel.
Yes.
And that it's not something over here, this abstract thing that's separate from what you're doing in your business. It can be a really great way for people to start hearing from you, getting value from you, and experiencing the transformation that you offer to your clients.
Yeah, and help you cut through the noise so that you build up as an expert. We know that people need to see us many times, and then they need to feel connected with us before they buy, depending on what our product or service is and how much investment that is. But generally, people need to interact with you 6 or so times to be able to follow through and go, yeah, okay, I'm going to test that out. So it's a great way of doing that. And when you are running an event, whether it's a webinar or a workshop, then it's almost like a single session.
Yes.
Facebook Live's a bit different because it's shorter, right?
Yes.
And a webinar, there's so many differences between a webinar and a workshop. I've just done a video on that, actually. But when people have turned up to a webinar or particularly an in-person workshop, it's like a single session, which is great because then you can upsell to packages, because that's the next step to get that transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. All right. Well, I'm challenging everyone to start thinking about how they can make speaking part of what they are doing. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for your time again. If anyone has any questions, please put them underneath. I will put Cynthia's link so that you can head on over and hear more from her, all of those kinds of things. Thanks so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure. If I can get people to know that they're experts in what they do and go and start doing something, even one Facebook Live a week, just start doing something and get out of theory and into reality and actual testing your message.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope that you guys have found this super helpful.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.